Hi everyone, welcome to this monthly HCM forum meeting. Let me talk about what we're going to cover today and then what is the uh, agenda items. So it's virtual and then our agenda item starts same. So some of the standard stuff, welcome introductions, which we're doing from last couple of meetings. We will be just keeping it much brief. Then we'll be getting into a few topics of HCM, CSA, and then HCMX. And then for next future meeting, what is our plans? We will be sharing that. So just to remind that we are here in one of the forum meeting, which is the second level of our customer engagement program. The first one is idea exchange, where you can look at that. It involves most of the customer any customer can put their idea on idea exchange. And second level is the interest group or forums, where we send the invite link for registration, and then but it goes to a wider audience. And then third level is a design partnership, and then especially if you're a customer and you are interested to work with us on any specific feature or any specific component in our product and wanted to be design partner, then we can work together and then improve that aspect of product working along with you. Then we have a customer advisory board. It happens mostly couple of times in a year. There is a meeting for customer advisory board where we more discuss about long-term and short-term strategy items and all. So some of you may be the part of it, and then if you're really interested to understand what it takes to be part of customer advisory board, and if you're not there, then do drop us a mail. We can discuss that. And then finally the strategy day, which happens really with the very select few customers where they involved with us on our long-term strategy as well. So with that, the objective of this forum meeting, if you have not joined earlier, so this is the forum meeting, and then we are also planning to change the name as a user group meeting in in the calendar year 21. So I'll share more details about that in next session. But the objective of this meeting is to collaborate across our customers, R&D, and product management team to build a practitioner community, share the best practices, technical deep dive on some of the topics, provide some product updates, and then in some cases, if we provide a feature which is not there in product, but we are working on it, then we wanted to collect early feedback. We can kind of look into that. Each and every meeting is recorded, and then it is posted on our community website, the details of the recording of old meetings and all their agenda items, so you can always listen in if you missed it. Also, you can look at the upcoming agenda items as well. So this is HCM meetings is the page. This is our community portal page where all details are shared. And I have put this deck in handout for purpose that you can access these details and all, so that you can know that. So with that, we will get into the fine-tune HCM performance section now. And this is a section where our expert Arun Pai is going to talk about it. So Arun, are you ready to talk about it? Take it away from here.
Yes, Pradeep. Yeah, thanks, Pradeep.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So today I will talk about fine-tuning the HCM performance. So which typically will be done after you install HCM. So this whole process is required if you want to make it more robust, as well as to gain the better performance. So there are two parts to how you improve the HCM performance. So the first part is by enabling the true HA in HCM. Okay, so typically when you install HCM, right, by default, all the pods, the replica of all the pods will be set to 1. So that means when you install a multi-master environment, the main cluster is high available. So which means the master, if you have a 3 master node, right? So if one of the master goes down, the other 2 masters will still be available, which will make sure all the communication to these pods are going through, right? And also it will ensure it will ensure that all the pods are available at all time and things like that. So all the schedulers and everything will be controlled. And if one of the worker nodes goes down, the scheduler will ensure the pods which were there on that worker nodes will be brought up on the available remaining worker nodes. Okay. But that means that the cluster is high available, but that does not mean the services are always up and running, right? So typically when a pod goes down and it has to come back, so it takes close to about like 5 to 10 minutes, right, based on what pod has goes down, right? So um, and what happens is when a worker goes down, the pods on that worker has to spin up on the new or the available worker. So that would typically take more time. So that's why, so what we recommend is at least to make these main services to be always high available. Um, so the main services in case of HCM are CSA, OO, and MPP. So for the obvious reason that the MPP will serve the end users, right? And also all the consumers, right? So that services has to be always available. The other services like brokering or maybe using DB or cloud optimizer or anything like that, right? So those services can go offline and then it can come back up whenever it is required. And those are mainly the admin kind of services where admin will know the services are right now not available. But the same thing cannot happen for the end user services like MPP. And whenever there are few deployments on MPP, that should happen immediately. So that's why CSA and OO are also important services in HCM. So the recommendation over here is to make sure the CSA, OO, and MPP are high available also in the cluster. So which means we have to increase the replica for at least these three services for sure. Okay. So and the recommendation for these services are 2 to 3 replicas for CSA and OO. And MPP being lightweight, it can run on all the worker nodes. So you can increase the replica to the same number of worker nodes. So for example, maybe if you are running 3 worker nodes, so then you can make the MPP replica to 3. And you can configure all the replica in their respective YAMLs. So MPP, you will do it in HCM mpp.yaml. CSA, there is a auto scale YAML file, which you can go and look at it. So there is a minimum replica count, and you can increase that to 2 or 3 based on how what is your worker node capacity and things like that. So so once you increase these replicas, right? So that ensures that the service for these services, CSA, OO, and APP are always available. So which means even let's say you have 4 worker nodes and you have increased the CSA and OO to 3 replica, right? And the MPP to 4. So even if a couple of worker node goes down, right? So still CSA and OO will be running on the 3rd worker node, right? And that will still be available and that will continue to serve all the services to the end users. And then you will have enough time to bring back the worker nodes back online, and then maybe if there is some issue, you can resolve it quickly and then bring it back. So meanwhile, what will happen is also if there are few pods which are running on these worker nodes, so that will the Kubernetes cluster will try to bring up on the other worker nodes. So once you have all the worker nodes back online, and then the cluster will come back to the normal scenario where the pods will come up on the other worker nodes as well. So there are all these pod affinity and priority class name, so which are introduced in the recent releases of HCM 2019-8 and 2019-11 as well as 2025 releases. So they will ensure that these pods are always distributed and they come up in each individual worker nodes, at least one pod in each of these worker nodes. And the priority class names for the CSA and MPP are very high. So that means that these will always be taken precedence over other pods. If there is only one worker node and if the Kubernetes has to decide which pod has to be removed and which has to be retained, so then it will always retain CSA and MPP, and it will not try to retain the other pods over these ones. Okay, so with all these changes, so we will ensure that you will maintain a true HA in HCM, where the cluster itself was high available, and even now increasing CSA and MPP also will make sure it is high available. So this is basically like you running multiple node of CSA and O in the classic CSA days, right? So you would do the same thing in HCM. Okay. Next slide, Pradeep.
And before Arun to talk on next slide, I would just want to remind that you can anytime raise your hand, you can unmute yourself or raise hand and I'll unmute you if you're not able to unmute yourself and ask any questions. So we can be interactive. We are trying to here cover as much as topics which can help you to run HCM and CSA properly in an environment. So feel free to jump in and ask questions as well. Thank you. Go ahead, Arun.
Thanks, Pradeep. Okay, so the second part to the performance fine-tuning comes in fine-tuning all the CSA and O parameters. So next slide, I have all the O parameters. So here I have some of the CSA parameters. Okay, so there are a lot of parameters to increase various timeouts, thread pools, buffer sizes, which you can change based on what is your load on your environment. Okay, so all these parameters were available in classic CSA product in the CSA properties, and if you have used that, so you would definitely know that to get the better performance from the CSA, you would have to go and fine tune these parameters. For example, maybe you have to increase the pool size to a higher number if there are more number of subscriptions getting created, and then the overflows has to be executed in a very fast manner. So you have to increase the lifecycle pool size accordingly, so that the O will be spawned in multiple times, and then the callbacks and everything can happen faster, right? So same way, if O takes more time to communicate, or let's say the load on the O is more, right? So then the timeout you might have to increase, right? So also, let's say if you are using dynamic JS properties, and if the JS response is slow, so which means basically it has to go and then fetch a few things from the DB and do some calculation, things like that. So, and then if the JS is timing out, so then you might have to increase the dynamic property fetch read timeout, right? So it's by default 60 seconds, and then you can increase that. So same way you can fine tune all these different various parameters in CSA, and all these are available in CSA YAML in the environment section for you. So here I've listed out all the default values and our recommended values for the best performance. So you can go and change these values after your HCM deployment. And then once you deploy, there are further steps where you have to apply. So that I will cover in the upcoming slides. But for now, these are the CSA parameters. And yes, thanks, Pradeep. The next are the O parameters. So these are typical O parameters where you would increase some of the Java memory and the worker capacities, right, as well as the database pool sizes. So this will ensure the O is having more memory to play around, and also number of workers. The number of worker execution threads will be increased, so that way it can handle more number of flows at a time, right? So all those you can change in HCM YAML. So next slide, Pradeep. So how do you change is basically if you go into your persistent volume in the under core namespace. In a core namespace, there is suite install HCM output. So in that folder, there are a bunch of YAMLs. So in that, you can see there is a CSA YAML and HCM YAML. So if you edit that, you will scroll down to the environment section. there you will see all these various different parameters which I have talked about in the last 2 slides. So you can change those, and then to apply, you have to do these kubectl commands. So basically kubectl delete -f and the hcm-csa YAML, and then you say kubectl create -f and hcm-csa YAML. Same way for the O. So you have to do this delete and create of the YAML files, because you have changed the file. Just deleting the pod will not make those changes applicable. So just ensure that it is done. So all these are in detail documented in these practitioner notes. Okay, so you can make a note of that link. So you just have to go to the 2025 document page and go to the practitioner note section, and then you will see the link for HCM fine-tuning performance. Okay, so all these are documented. Okay, and so once you make sure you change all these parameters, so this will ensure the HCM is in optimal performance, and then you can gain the good outcome from all these services, and you will achieve the true HA. Okay. All right. So next slide, Pradeep. Okay. So next, I'll talk about how you can apply the OS patches with CSA Classic as well as HCM, and also how you can upgrade databases. Okay. So mainly, what we do recommend is for the classic version of CSA. So we do recommend to upgrade the CSA and O product first, and then apply all the OS patches. So you have to upgrade the CSA and O, and then apply the OS patches. So the whole reason is being the CSA 499, which is the latest version, right? So that or even any other higher versions of CSA that would support the latest OS level, OS patch level, whereas the older version will not. So if you have still on the older version and then apply the patch, so that is not a supported way, right? So you will do an incompatibility. So you will have the older product on the higher OS version, and so that will definitely might lead to some issues. So that's why you can upgrade the CSA and O first, and then apply the OS patch. So while you do that, you have to make sure you carefully examine the support matrix for both the product versions. So CSA 492, for example, 499. So you can go through both the support matrix and ensure you are using the right OS patch level which is supported in 499, and then apply them. Okay. Also, another thing is you have to maintain the same JRLL, JRE or JDK level. So if you are not using the open JRE which comes with the CSA, and you are using your own JRE, then ensure you don't upgrade the JRE to very higher level, maybe like 9 or 11, because we still are maintaining it JRE 8. So just ensure you are using the right JRE level as well. Okay. Yeah. Next slide, Pradeep. Yeah. So when it comes to HCM, the things are a little bit different. So here it also depends on the Kubernetes heavily. So what we have seen in the past is a few OS patches will definitely cause problems to Kubernetes environment. So there was one specific patch from Red Hat where that patch was causing the Kubernetes to crash. So we had to actually revert back the patch, or go back to the old patch level, and then boot through that in order to get the Kubernetes working. So that's why you have to make sure that you don't deploy any unsupported OS patch level on the HCM node specifically. And even if you want to do that, just make sure you test it in the dev or QA and ensure that everything works fine for you, and then apply the supported OS patch. Okay. And we don't ask you to deploy any unsupported OS patch level at all. And at the high level, if you want to deploy the OS patch, the recommended approach is to stop the Kubernetes completely. So which means you have to stop the Kubernetes first on the worker nodes, and then stop the Kubernetes on the master nodes. Okay, so this way it will ensure it is gracefully shutting down all the pods and all the services properly, and then you can apply the patch on all the worker nodes as well as the master nodes. And then once you do that, then you start the master node first using kube restart command, kube start command. So first, once the master comes up completely, then you can bring up the worker nodes, so which will bring up the HCM pods, and it will bring up the HCM suite in turn. Okay, so this is a correct approach. So you can maintain that, and then that way you can do the HCM OS patching. So next is the database upgrade. So it's the same way. The recommended approach is to first ensure you upgrade the CSA. It's the same reason, right? So the newer version of CSA will definitely support both the existing database version as well as the newer versions. For example, maybe you are on Oracle 12 and you want to move to Oracle 18. So you have to ensure that CSA has been upgraded to 499, which supports 12 as well as 18, and then you can upgrade the database. Okay, high level process again is ensure you back up the database properly before the database upgrade, and then you upgrade the CSA or HCM, whatever it is, and then you upgrade the database. So in any case, if you run into any of the issues, you can revert back to the older backup database, and then you can still be online, right? So that's the whole reason. So you have to ensure you backup, and then you can upgrade the database. Yeah, I think that's what I had to cover today. Any questions? Anything?
So I see that David has raised a hand, and then I have to kind of unmute. David, you can go ahead and ask.
Hi, Pradeep, and
Yeah. Hi, David.
A question regarding the CSA database. Do we have now basic availability groups supported?
With the MS SQL, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do support a basic availability group, the enterprise edition product of the basic availability group. So that is supported in HCM. So we have validated also. I think it's there in the support matrix of the HCM as well. So that is.
But the enterprise product is way too expensive, you know. So it would be nice to just have a standard Microsoft SQL in place, you know. That's like 10 times cheaper. So
Okay.
You know,
so yeah, so when we evaluated the basic availability group, so we ran into a few conceptual issues with the standard availability group, because I think with the standard it was not very high available. So it means you have to basically you have to have multiple nodes or something like that. So that's the reason why we didn't support the standard one. So we always wanted to do the enterprise one. So maybe Pradeep, you can see if we can add that to the backlog or something.
Yeah, we can look at that. The challenge is that, as you mentioned, it's not giving as expected result on the standard compared to enterprise. Even the same product like HCM, we are using it. So those, and we don't want to kind of just be supported, but then we don't meet the integer. However, we can still reconsider and see if is the product has to do something else, or it is more of the SQL side challenges which we have to overcome.
Yeah. Okay, because we've tested in the past multiple times, and then we had issue with the user accounts because it was not basically Active Directory integrated. So we had to use SQL as SE accounts, and of course that was an issue. And then of course you need to have enterprise in place, but yeah, I think a lot of customers don't want to pay, you know, for 2 nodes enterprise.
But and also in the next kind of we'll talk about HCMX. There we are even don't need SQL. We can work with the Postgres even much cheaper, and then we give a same enterprise level of reliability. So that's the way we are moving forward. Yeah, we understand the database cost has to be kind of reconsidered. So we started working with the Postgres and then make sure that everything like enterprise aspects are covered under that as well.
So there are basically plans to move the CSA database to Postgres. Or
yes, so in the new upcoming product HCMX, the portion the CSA, which is the designer, that would work with the Postgres only, and then we will only support maybe Postgres.
So basically end of life to need an external database for CSA then.
It can be external, so either Postgres internal or external.
Yeah, but yeah, if you need enterprise, or if you can use the Postgres.
No, it's enterprise, so we will be supporting, because what enterprise means, all the enterprise readiness, right? So those aspects are covered, backup, restore, high availability, and everything is covered under that.
Yeah, this makes the solution a lot cheaper as a service provider,
yes.
because you
yes.
don't have to pay Microsoft SQL Enterprise
right.
license. If you know what I'm trying to say, that's yeah.
We'll connect on, we'll connect on offline, and then we'll explore as well on that. Thanks for question. So with time, I will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll move to, and anytime again, if you need more question, then just keep raising hand. I'll just unmute you. I'm going to the next section of the thing, but before we move there, I have a kind of a poll question which I'll post it. So let me post a poll, and then if you can give the answer, then you know that what's the value of the next section. So I'm just looking at launching a poll. If you see the question, then yeah, I would request in 30 seconds if you can give some answers so we know your plans. So if you remember, we have two products, HCM and CSA latest version released recently, and those are flash free version as well. So another 5 to 10 seconds, and I'm going to close the poll. So and if good, so and if I share that, probably poll results. So you know that, yeah, everyone mostly want to upgrade it, so it's good. Now we'll go to the slide back, and then again, Situ, you can start. So I'm going to cover some of the aspect of these upgrade best practices in the upcoming slides.
Yeah, thanks, Pradeep. Hello, hi everyone. Yeah, as Pradeep mentioning, we have been asking customers to upgrade their classic, older classic version of CSA to the latest CSA, that is CSA 499, which is flash free. I'll just go through some of the best practices during the CSA upgrade, and a few slides explaining some of the known issues which might occur during the upgrade process. Okay, I'm just covering some of the important prerequisites for CSA upgrade here, and more details can be seen in the Micro Focus documentation. Okay, CSA 4.9 should be upgraded only from CSA 4.9.2. So we are asking all the older releases to first upgrade it to CSA 4.92, and then from CSA 4.9.2 to upgrade it to CSA 4.9.9. Okay, one more important issue what we have been seeing is customers are they will, before upgrading the CSA, we have been asking customers to stop the services. Although even though if they stop the services, some of the stale stale process still will be running in the backend. Okay, that has to be properly stopped or killed. So on Windows, we go to Task Manager and find out the stale process. Say, for example, Node.js. If it's still running, just kill the process. A similar way on Linux, just check the process, ps and grep for the process, and kill the process. And okay, check there in CSA home before upgrading to CSA 4.9.9. Check if encryption folder exists or not. If it is not exist, please reach out to support or CPE. Okay, and another important is OGDB jar files for the Oracle 12. So the location here I mentioned, right, that there should be an Oracle jar with OGDBC 7 driver should be present before upgrading to CSA 499. And also check for the database lock in the CSA DB by running this SQL query and check if it is locked, unlock it by making it 0. Okay, if anytime if upgrade fails during the process, just exit the upgrade, fix the issues, find out what is the reason for the upgrade failure, and then rerun the installer. Installer will resume from where the upgrade failed. Pradeep, can you please move to the next slide?
Yeah, so I see there is a Michael who has a question. So yeah, Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, so we already upgraded, although I have to say we didn't follow the procedure exactly. One issue we definitely have been at CSA 492 with our cluster. But the point is that our operating system, where the 492 systems were running on, has not been supported anymore by 499. So we have added 2 new nodes, which are at supported OS level, and right away installed 499 on the new nodes. Yeah, so run down old nodes. Didn't install 492 on the new nodes, but directly installed 499 on the new nodes against the existing database, which generally worked. And I'm now curious if you, let's say, can say something if we, and CSA is working, yeah, so we cannot observe any major issues, but maybe you can say something if we missed something by that approach.
No, okay, that approach is good. I mean, there is no problem in that approach. Only thing, if you have any customization done in the previous releases with respect to the CSA 499 application, that you might miss. You need to do it manually.
Okay, then second question is, if you go back the slide on that encryption folder, what is that good for? So why is that a risk when that is missing?
Okay, so in CSA 492 and CSA 499, we introduced strong encryption mode, the new encryption mode. So previous upgrade to CSA 492 might have some of the customers missing this encryption folder. They have upgraded without the strong encryption.
Okay. But because we definitely will not have that folder on the new boxes as we installed them individually, right? So we haven't copied this folder over from the old 492 nodes to the 499. So is that an issue if it? Okay.
It is not necessary. When you install CSA 499, this encryption folder automatically appear in the CSA home.
Okay, understand. And one thing maybe to mention, what we also observed is every time when we installed 499, and we observed it already with the upgrade to 492, it locks out our LDAP accounts. Yeah, our LDAP accounts for the IDM, for authenticating into the LDAP, the service accounts get locked out while the installer runs the first time. We have basically wrong password policy on those accounts, and they are getting locked out by the installer, interestingly.
Okay, you mean to say the LDAP user accounts?
The LDAP user accounts that are in the provider organization configured for reading LDAP, yeah. It seems that they're somehow not encrypting, decrypting the password correctly while upgrading, and that causes a lot of wrong logins, causing lockouts.
Situ, you want to follow up that question over email more to understand the situation?
I just wanted to understand more on that. Let's discuss that later.
Yeah, so Michael, I'll send you mail and then I'll loop you in so we can follow up.
We will discuss that later. Okay, so during upgrade we might see some of the known issues. So I have captured some of the known issues which I have come across when upgrading customers to CSA 499, which I covered here. In these slides, I am just capturing the failure message during the upgrade failure and the reason for the failure and the probable solution for that. Okay, okay. Whenever there is an upgrade failure, just go to the install.log or install error.log and see what is the reason for the error failure. So you will, so similarly here you are seeing, right, capability types import failed. So the reason for this capability import failed is because in the previous upgrade to CSA 499 from older releases, the strong password for LDAP and SMTP access points are not updated correctly, or there is a possibility that those passwords are manually updated to the legacy passwords. Although it used to work in the 492, but in 499 we are strictly expecting the strong password for the LDAP accounts. Okay, to overcome that, what we are doing is we are exiting the upgrade failed this thing, and no, we are going to the tools. There is a password migration tool, and updating the LDAP password, copying the updating the strong password in the shared mode. Shared mode is nothing but the strong mode, and copying back the encrypted passwords to the LDAP in the database, and resume the upgrade. Rerun the installer. Installer will continue with the upgrade. Pradeep, can you please go to the next slide? Okay, and there is another failure, like so there is a scenario where in the OO Central already latest content pack, if latest content pack is available, what our upgrade installer will do is it will try to install older content packs. So here I have captured HPE solution content pack which comes with our installer, which is a little bit older than what is already available in the OO Central, which is Micro Focus Solution CP 2.4. That is a newer version. In this case, right, our upgrade will force to install the older content pack and it will fail, saying that same ID already exists in the operation orchestration. The failure can be seen in the install.log. Okay, there are a couple of solutions to overcome this. The best solution what I did for the one of the customer is we skipped the step and resume the upgrade to continue with the next step. So the steps here captured, go to the installation steps, rename the OO step processing to OO step done, make it complete, and create an empty file. Just create an empty file, touch the empty file OO designer step.processing. So when you resume the upgrade will continue with this step, OO designer step processing. Pradeep, next slide please. Okay, another upgrade failure what we have seen is whenever we try to resume the upgrade, failed upgrade, the upgrade will fail with the CSA port, which is not set. The reason is because in the silent.properties under the installation folder, we have a silent.properties file, which will reset the CSA port to not set. So the solution here is go back to the silent.properties, set change the value to the correct CSA port and resume the upgrade. Upgrade will continue successfully. Okay, there is another upgrade failure what we have been observing with a CSA 49 is OO designer. Sometimes OO designer upgrade will fail. In the logs, you might you will see fail to read the brand that the current version of OO designer has come up with. So the possible reason for this is because the previous upgrade might have failed to update the O designer version. Again, the solution is that's simple. We have to skip the O designer step and resume the upgrade to continue with the next step. And then once the upgrade is successful, we can install the O designer out of the CSA or integrate CSA to the external O designer. Okay, those are the some of the known issues which we might have come across. And okay, once we successfully upgrade to CSA 499, there is one well-known issue, that the day one issue. A couple of customers are coming across that there is an defect in the IDM where group membership is not calculating properly. So the reason is because in order to improve the performance, IDM has introduced the timestamp. So the members will load with the timestamp, and by doing that, they have broken something. They have broken the newly updated user groups. Okay, for that, right, Artfix is getting ready. It will almost be ready in a week or few days. Meanwhile, workaround for the issue is clearing the LDAP roster history on the IDM database. When we delete the LDAP roster history, it will try to load all the details from the LDAP active directory, all the group details from the LDAP active directory, no matter whether they were newly added or it's a old already existing groups.
So is
okay,
it this was the last slide, right?
Yeah, I think that's all.
Okay, thank you, Sidhu. I don't see anybody
So,
has
any
raised
questions?
hand. Okay. So we'll pause here for any question or any comment. David has raised the hand, but I think he forgot to turn down. So, or I'll unmute if you has any question, but I don't see anybody else. So, David, you had any question, or you were to just?
Yes, might have a question about the consumer marketplace portal. I remember, Pradeep, you in the past you were talking about that you guys were building in basically a web shop with a new way of authentication, and I was wondering what the plans are for that. Yeah.
So we'll be talking about HCMX post that, and that it has few things which it covers. So we'll be talking about that as well as David after this topic. And I see Michael also have raised hand again. So you want to come back, Michael, for anything?
Yeah, so as I said, we had already upgraded, and we see some additional new issues now in 499 with the changed lifecycle engine. Yeah, that is basically now supporting, as requested, more granularity on the failed handling. Yeah. But one issue we observed is that let's say old subscriptions that have been there before the upgrade, yeah, how to transfer them over into the new mode, yeah, because when you now turn organizations into pause on failure at cancellation, yeah, I think that only kicks in if also the lifecycle actions of those services are correctly configured to fail, right? That's
I think I think old subscription upgraded to the new one. That's I think not going to have is not there yet. We are just going to support for new subscriptions because it is a new stage which is there. So that's the one challenge, but we will see if that can be done something on that. So I will follow up with Nivedita on that, and then we'll try to come back that if something can be done through script-wise or something that way.
Okay. Yeah, and in that conjunction, we also observe one additional issue with when we run basically into the situation that we have failed deployment and we cancel that doesn't go to cancel but gets stuck and fail due to some database caching issue, as it looks like. We have a case open on that, but that is also something that seems to be new. I'm not sure if you observed that with other customers already. Some kind of, let's say, when you cancel failed deployments, that they don't go to cancel but run into a failed state.
So yeah, I think I'll follow up. If you mentioned the case is open, so probably investigation is going on, and then we can comment.
Okay.
However,
So not
if issue would have been,
observed with others.
yeah. Well, if you would have seen from others, the team would have known the answer and then given you. But it means if you have not heard from support the answer, then it means they're investigating on that. So, but we'll close the loop on that as well. Thank you. With that, I will move to the next section of, so we planned half an hour for this section. We took some more time, but some good questions and then good. So the things I'm going to kind of coming back to a topic. So you understand in our portfolio, we have a product called CSA, which is classic mode, which Michael is talking about. And then we have a product called HCM, which is the containerization mode, which David is using on that. Now we have a new version, and then if you have followed us in our some of the events, customer events, or some of our latest webinars or our website, you'll be finding that we have a new version of a product called Hybrid Cloud Management X. It's the same containerized product, but we have repackaged and re-released it in a better way with a modern user experience, which is one of the main thing, the portal thing. So we have solved a lot of portal challenges. Why it doesn't look like it more modern, which David was mentioning. So that was the main aspect of it. Some of the put AI element so that the portal can at least help the end user proactively for searching their service designs or the offerings, or while making help to choose the right services, like virtual agent and all is there, which can be trained, and then it can help, which can ask few more questions before someone chooses, and then give the right answer that which service fits for the need. And overall, it does a lot of good governance aspects and all. So this is a new product. It's a successor of our CSA and HCM. And this practitioner forum series, we are talking about this product every meeting for 10 to 15 minutes to see, and then introducing what is the different in that. So we cannot cover in 15 minutes. So we are in the chunks. In every meeting we are talking about few things, and I do recap what is there in HCMX at very high level. So HCMX is similar to HCM or CSA. It still does orchestration fulfillment. So if you know our product, broad platform support, image aggregation, service design, end-to-end process orchestration, thorough life cycle management, so that's the core piece. It remains as it is. We have elevated the governance aspect, where we made the rule-based governance, and that is the way we say we are simplifying the catalog management while able to provide the more comprehensive governance thing. And that's the thing I wanted to kind of today more show and talk about a quick demo of that. But if time doesn't permit, we'll continue on that in the next meeting as well. So I'm get going that we are providing a better governance, trying to make sure that the catalog management becomes much simpler, but still you can enforce all those compliance governance or cost governance aspects. Then we are also doing some recommendations for especially public cloud usage, reserve instance recommendation and all. And the last but not the least, most important, we are using a common data model, UCMDB, which means it's a single source of truth, and then you'll able to even analyze if the service goes down, what all the other system it can impact in your environment. So it does all topology, and then it can give impact analysis and all aspect in the backend. Or if you're doing any change management on that service, or you're trying to upgrade any of the OS level, DB level patch on those services, you know that what all other services it can impact it. So that's the aspect of governance. And then consumption part, which is the portal itself, making sure that the lean catalogs, but is still streamlined with the consumer offering, and allows to do both subscription management as well as all the offering which you subscribe to. They go through a kind of a standard service request model where user is requesting a service, it gets assigned to someone in backend, and it doesn't mean that person has to do anything. It's still automated fulfillment, but if any problem happens, that person gets notified quickly, so he can attend the problem. So rather than waiting for that user to complain that there is something wrong, and then he attends the problem, and then when the service is fulfilled, finally the end consumer has the accountability to accept the solution or reject the solution. So he can also go and then accept or reject the solution. So that closes the loop. So it gives some more transparency, as well as it makes sure that the services which are offered meeting the need of customer. So these are some of the things which HCMX does different than HCM, which I mentioned. And if I have to summarize, the HCMX is nothing but it's wrapping the all core feature and then under a new UI. So new marketplace portal, you can say a new service portal that is wrapping all the features of orchestration, service design, cloud cost governance, image aggregation under the new portal. And we're simplifying the management aspect of the things for management, is still able to enhance the overall IT process and governance with much of ease without much doing the coding itself. We call it a kind of a codeless configuration. So you're able to create a lot of governance rules without writing any code, which normally JavaScript and all models were there in CSA time frame for portal. So portal side, you don't need to code anything. You just use expressions given. It's very flexible. So it gives all the permutation combination, you can do it, but you don't try to code, you just create an expression so that we can manage and maintain and upgrade those configuration item easily over the upgrade process. The whole focus was on the installation upgrade challenge. So we understood that at a platform level, you need to focus more onto your consumers, what they consume it, and take away the burden from you upgrading a software and maintaining a software. And we have taken a philosophy of that as a SaaS level of flexibility, where you can upgrade softwares in minutes, not in hours, and that too kind of with minimal effort. So we have some of the customer and partners, as soon as we release the new version of this, they're able to upgrade in couple of hours from the release. So the time the release announced, and if you're quick enough to notice when the release is there, in next couple of hours, they should be able to upgrade it if they want it. So that's the kind of level. So that's a lot of focus has gone into that, and you may see that in the new version, the installation and upgrade has become the new product is very easy. And then SaaS level of multi-tenancy, which means we are making it a multi-tenant where each and every tenant can choose what management solution they want to build. So we are making a kind of a converse solution which has a lot of capability, but based on the license, the admin can choose which tenant would need what kind of capabilities. Like some tenant, they want to offer cloud management. For some of the tenant, the same software can do a service desk or IT service management, and then for some of the tenant, it can do both. So it's all flexibility with the customers. Single converge installer allows you to create as many as tenant on the platform, and for each tenant you have the capability metrics you can control through the what license you buy from the Micro Focus for that. And it's not about you choose that during the first time running installation, you can add the more capability as you go. So you can start with the cloud management, you can add a service management also for that tenant, as well as, or vice versa. You can start with service management and you can add a cloud management capability for the same tenant later. So it's kind of, and it's all pre-integrated, which means when you add a new capability, everything is wired, so it feels like a same product with more menu items. So it likes on the same shopping cart, you're seeing few more items, and there is no change in the back end. They don't have to do anything else. So it gives like a full integrated system. So if you're doing a cloud management and you want to create a change management process or ticketing system on those services, and if you're both cloud management and service management, you are just using the same CI types to create your change management process without doing any integration, because both the converse solution would use this common data model and all. So this is the way we say it, and then we saying it's unified service delivery model. We have a common architecture or converged solution for various aspects, and which allows you to do all kind of services, IT services, non-IT services, in a unified manner. And then the portal has been coupled with the smart search, smart virtual agent, even mobile app is there. So that's the all user consumption part has been enhanced. And then we have optionally you can integrate incident management and ticketing if you're also apply the service management license to that. Codeless configuration, I talked about it, and it can run anywhere. It can run on premise or it can run on the cloud. And what we different thing we are saying, bring your own Kubernetes. So in the case of cloud, it can run on the AWS or Azure or GCP Kubernetes service directly. On premise side, we do ship our own CDF. We have planned to support OpenShift in future very soon. So stay tuned. And then on premise also you can bring your own Kubernetes. So that is the way you can do that. So with that, if you wanted to know more about it, so latest release, which is the 2020.11, which will be released in few weeks, but we already have a release readiness webinar done for it, and it is posted on our community forum, the link, and then you can play the recording. And this is the recording for Converge solutions. So it means we do one single webinar where both service management and cloud management is there, which is available as a separate license. And if you're really interested in the cloud management part only, you can fast forward the video, and then at the 59th minute you can listen more about the cloud management. And we have still covered some of the aspect which I spoke about in that session as well. So with that, basically the cloud management software is making sure that we allow a service fulfillment aspect. So you can build your service design and then make all automation wired to fulfillment of the service. We allow the service governance, including a cost and compliance, and then the approvals and also all kind of governance aspects is inbuilt. And third is the service consumption aspect, which is all about portal and then making sure that easy to consume. So these are the capability we have done it, and then we see the whole life cycle is for a journey of a service goes through these three capabilities through three different personas. So when we say service fulfillment, mostly service designer works there. They create a design, they make all the automation in wired. Then the service governance aspect, where the catalog admin and IT admin comes, they decide which design and need to convert to which kind of offering, and within the offering what user options should be provided, what kind of compliance control or configuration controls has to be added, what kind of approval is added based on who is consuming. So they define all rules, and they create an offering. So once offering is there and all rules are in place, then the end consumer comes, which is the consumption part, who requests, and those all configured rules and all make sure that the service is governed or delivered in a specific manner of the business process, which allows or which is needed for that particular service. And then end user gets a service delivery, and they manage the life cycle of service. This is the journey of the service through those three use cases across the different personas. Obviously, every company may have more people involved, and then more people can do these roles. So but at high level, we have depicted like that. And with that, I want to do a demo, but we are on the top of the hour, so I'm not going to do the demo. So next session, we're going to more talk about the demo aspect of HCMX, especially the catalog management. But this is the sneak preview that we are trying to give you a kind of a rule-based task fulfillment plan, where you can define a rule, which is the way the service will fulfill, and that governs that you can add a manual task before fulfillment of before the CSA design fulfillment happens, or post it, or you can also configure more rules for approvals, multi-level approval, and also this is the way we do it. But I'm not going to talk more about it. We'll talk in the next meeting. We're already kind of crossing the time. So feel free, if you have any question last minute, just jump in. That's the way I was making that we are evolving from CSS into HCMX, and we have both business and technical migration paths. So feel free to reach out to us. I have shared the deck. It has a lot more, many links about HCMX. You can learn offline and also ask more questions. So with that, I will pause here for any last minute question. And we are happy to dive one-on-one with you on these topics as well, if you have interest. So do let us know, so that you will see in the webinar invite my email ID also. You can reply that, so we can even discuss more on that. So the last minute if any question, otherwise we are already over the time, and then I will respect your time and schedule, and we can close the session today. Post meeting, you'll find a survey. Please let us know meeting is useful, what topics you want in future, and then how do you want to talk about HCMX, and then go to our community page to know more updates about, and even the recording of these sessions, or to watch the recording of previous sessions. And also you can post question there, or idea exchange, you can use it. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for time, and then thanks for sorry for going a couple of minutes overboard on that. Hopefully it was useful, and then we'll meet again in 4 weeks time from now. Thank you, everyone.